that thing that propels you, and I have an opposite feeling or maybe situation towards it.
Yes.
So I recently experienced like a big tragedy in my life, and I thought that's going to be like an immediate push to any mentality I want to get into. Like I thought I'm going to use this is going to spring me straight up to what I want to do and just get into the zone. And I'm just realizing it's now almost about 6 months, and I'm nowhere near that quick push or that punch and I know I have every reason to succeed and get to the point where I want to get. But I think for me it's more of also first dealing with things I need to deal with before I go back into that whole getting inspired mood. Because people tell me this pushed me straight up to do this. And for me, it was the opposite.
It's more like a dynamo.
For me, it was more of
Steam
it
engine.
just tied me down
Yeah.
instead. You know how they tie an anchor on a ship when it reaches the door? I feel like that's what happened to me instead.
You docked.
Right.
Instead of being spurred and pushed,
Yeah.
I instead got tied down by the whole situation.
And-
And I don't know whether it's a time thing where you need...
Yes.
Well, this is where
Everybody's
time
timing
plays
is
into.
different, and we all go through daunting points in our life.
Yeah.
We all deal with it differently. It might take a longer period of time than it will for me or for Wana. So you'll still get there.
Yeah.
Just keep your
And I've been
goals
thinking
straight.
about time, the value of time to an artist.
Yeah.
In terms of just the behind the scenes, our time behind the scenes,
Yeah.
our experiences,
Yeah.
the time we devote into growing, the time we also waste. People say there's no such thing as wasting time, but there are days when you just don't do shit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. But why? Who says there's no such thing as wasting time?
No, some purists want to say, no, I was living, I was in the moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you are doing nothing. Just be honest about it. You woke up, stayed in your boxers, maybe, I don't know what you do, drink or smoke or whatever the
Yeah.
whole day. Nothing.
Because
Let's
it
just call
depends.
Spend time.
Maybe you spend time with
but
yourself.
to be honest, time is going nowhere. We are the ones aging and going and leaving this world. So it depends on you and what you want to achieve. That is what should push you.
And I've been struggling with it. And we had a conversation with Wana before we got on. And Wana was telling me, man, don't beat yourself up so much, because look at how much time you put in and how effective. His advice was more on how efficient you are with the time and how regular you do it, which brings me to consistency. So half the time we look at the whole picture and we're like, okay, so how do I go from my one-room house to filling up Namboole Stadium? Yeah. The middle is such it's hard, painful, crazy, great.
Yeah, that's the part
has
of
a lot of
self-doubt.
things.
Yeah.
And it's so I would say it's bullshitted. People don't highlight it enough for people not to want it so
Because
fast.
that's the point of vulnerability. That's why nobody wants
And
it.
it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable. I'm learning the keyboard and it's the most painful shit, because you want to get the song.
You want
you
to be
want
a
to hear the
virtuoso.
song and play it right away. And you just start playing nonsense the whole time. But then you notice something great. You notice in your fourth week, you now know all the keys
Yeah.
in the C chord.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that shit.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps a bit for you to feel like it's worth it.
Yeah.
The process is worth it. And my biggest take from this whole time thing and how I use time and everything was to just enjoy the process of your own growth.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that make you want to rush the process. First of all, there's so much content. So many people, your own peers are creating, and you're not creating, and that's a motherfucker. That stays in your mind. I'm surrounded by
You're
friends
like,
who are making stuff. So no one wants to know whether you're grieving or what, or all that stuff. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everybody wants content. People want work put on the table.
Yeah.
And so there's that extra pressure that comes to knowing you're not doing that.
Takes commitment, really.
there's this whole thing of practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
We have had people say this, and is it scientifically proven? I don't know the rule of 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Out of it. It says to be a master at any craft,
Yeah.
you must have done it or practiced it for no less than 10,000 hours. Now, those 10,000 hours, are they calculated?
Yeah. You can split them in 2 days.
Yeah, but let me put it in this
Depending
way.
on how you want to.
You can make 10,000. I actually discovered this. I just went on reading and watching videos about this. The mind trains your body, and your body trains your mind, vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? But when it comes to perfecting an art or really becoming, a master at something, if you listen to music all day without actively writing, but while you listen to music with the purpose of, I want to hear, and your mind is constantly taking notes, constantly saying, you had this, while another person says, I'm not going to listen to any music, I'm going to figure this out and create from scratch, right? Both are doing the same thing, practice differently.
What?
You have another person practicing hoops. This is the real test.
Yeah.
You practice hoops in your mind,
Yeah.
and you practice hoops physically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
After a certain time, the one who practices hoops, and these are both professional athletes, at least trying to be,
Yeah.
the one who actively practices hoops in their mind will still be able to shoot those hoops.
There's a thing of mental
Your
practice.
brain put a perfect picture
That's a form of
that your
mental
body is trying to replicate, and you will naturally do it.
It makes sense.
practice.
Then comes endurance with the body.
Yes.
You get?
Yeah.
Then comes with endurance with the body. How efficient are you going to be every time you go shooting a hoop? Now that comes to
Your productivity.
exactly that goes down to the body. But I think with those 1,000 hours, not all of it is active doing with your hands physically. A lot of it goes down to your still the word again actively, but decide whether you're thinking about it, whether psychologically, training both your body and mind.
Yeah.
You have to make up that time to practice.
Yeah.
So efficiency goes down to efficiency. There's a lot of time I will not produce music. I will not even get down to the computer to make music, to work on a remix, to just come up with things. But like while I'm doing that, I'm watching movies, I am reading up, I am doing lots of things. But these things, I am actively seeking those things that will help me get better. Those things that will intrigue me. Those things that I will say, man, I should try this out. And the next time I get down and say, now I'm doing. Remember, while I am doing that in my mind, my body is not getting weary. It's not getting tired. So when I actually get down to doing it feels like I have been doing this, but I have not.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, in the sense that I used to do the same for film. Like when I was still like writing for TV, you write an episode for a week without necessarily writing it. Like you keep growing the scenes in your head from Monday. So from Monday you'll have a kitchen scene. On Tuesday you'll have a fighting scene. On Wednesday you will have a conflict. You'll have the plot twist on Thursday. And when you sit down to write on Sunday, you have the whole episode for the show. And like at first I used to think this is such a lazy way of working, but then it was effective. Like on Sunday, every Sunday you knew you're going to sit down and start blowing this shit out, and it will be coming because you had the time to let it simmer and grow. Like me and my friend call it putting it in the fridge. Like we put it in the fridge for a while and it just cools and gets cooler and gets cooler. I love it when you're like, as an artist, you're discovering your ways, the things that work for you and the process. And you can't teach that, man. That's on your own. You figure that out on your own when you're doing stuff.
LB, in your experience working with other musicians, other writers and producers, what do you feel has been great moments to highlight, and also what are the other things that you feel have been you cringe and be like, nah, I didn't really enjoy those experiences, and they're pretty consistent every time that thing comes up. Basically, what I'm saying is, how do you reserve yourself every time you're collaborating?
Well, I try to understand the other person's perspective of how, they see things, view things. But also, many times, I face a challenge of getting into studio and we just don't connect.
Chemistry matters.
There is no
Yeah.
chemistry. I'm listening to the song and I'm thinking love. You're thinking murder. Let's ruin this person. I'm gonna burn him, Yeah, but I know how to work with people. I'm a very social person, so at the end of the day I have to compromise. And
Okay,
we
you
come
played
up
it.
to an
You played it
agreement.
safe with your answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to mention something interesting, like without question, because it reminded me of a thing we were talking about with a friend about creative friendships.
Yeah.
And then we talked about like how sometimes like they're hard to maneuver because there'll be rivalries coming out of them. There'll be, of course, there's always going to be competition if you both want to succeed. And sometimes people can't go past that. You find people who are great friends, and maybe the friendship came from creativity and creating, but they got to a point where they bumped heads. They could no longer separate their egos from each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like we do things with friends, and we have friends we've fallen out with and stuff. And I find the whole creative friend thing like very interesting because it can easily go sour.
Guys, feel free to have a drink.
Thank you. It can easily go sour when you maybe overestimate your importance, or maybe you lead with ego in the whole situation.
Yeah, it's not good.
And also maybe people alone can come through and just create that whole friction, which doesn't even belong there. I've been thinking about it heavily with just between me and my
Happens. I
friends.
faced something like that.
Yeah.
I go to studio and everybody, like everyone was talking about how I'm too positive. And how
Too nice.
yeah, she's too positive, she's too conscious. Then
Why is
one
she
of my
so
friends
happy?
one of my friends came to me and told me, "Don't you have any darkness in you?" I said, "Music is a vibe. When I feel like I'm going through such a time in my life, I will write. I will put out all the darkness in me, but I don't feel that
Which
way."
she has, actually.
You know? Yeah, there's a time I was going through heartbreak. You remember? Yeah. There's a time I was going through a terrible, I was in a very bad relationship and things were not, all my music.
All the songs.
I'm
my
telling
God,
you.
I'm like, Jesus.
It's like, no.
You went
Stop.
into your Adele
Stop.
bag. You went into
You
your
have
Adele
taken over
bag.
our music vibe.
But that's how I felt at that point in time, you know?
The thing with also like rivalry among friends and stuff, like I don't know why, for some reason, the farther I go, the more that idea comes, because I share a lot of like great things with the friends I have, and sometimes I think, yes, we're going to be great and stuff, but people at some point they're going to pity us against each other.
Yeah.
Is the friendship strong enough to like survive? Have you had creative friends where you've had that like
Yeah. Yeah.
you split because you couldn't like handle how big you both are, or you couldn't figure out a way to make those two like bulls fit in one crowd. And it happens,
It
man.
happens.
It's just crazy, but it
I
happens with
personally
friends.
haven't had a split with a collaborative partner, or even a creative partner for that matter. But I think I've definitely gone through a situation where we just started working differently, and we were tapping from totally polarized inspirations, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know, man. Like, even technically speaking, there's, you know, when it comes to technical aspects, they are pretty much written down, you know, like. But then when I started to feel like okay, now we don't stand for the same things anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so we just started to work on less and less things together, you know, and not because we were like, man, I don't feel your vibe, but we both honestly made deliberate efforts to try to understand. Okay, so this is your vibe. Okay, let me try to dig your vibe. Next time it's my vibe. It's like, okay, I try to dig your vibe, but it was just so hard. The other thing I also definitely I feel that can affect that so much is just social life. For me, is if we can't hang out socially, if we can't break the ice and peel the layers.
You like to take them to the date before you eat the shit, okay?
You know, let's put the music aside, put everything else aside.
You're old
like
school.
if we can hang out like properly, if we can meet for a job, if we can meet for a session, for anything, and just talk about other things, you know? And then we're like, okay,
Connect.
now, you know, now we can work.
Break the
That
ice.
helps. That normally helps me so much, you know? Then there are people who are just like, we don't have time to go into other things.
Get into that whole
I can't
business.
work like that.
Yeah.
You know, when a person comes into the studio and says, so
I
have this idea that the first thing that goes into my mind is switch off. I'm like, yep, this is going to be very scripted. This is going to be hard to grind out. This is going to be hard to even make out.
We're not going anywhere.
Like, okay, do I play this? You know, like, I don't understand your influences.
Yeah.
I don't understand where you're coming from as a person to start with. Like, it's very important, I feel, as creatives, before you go into a collaborative space, to first understand each other to a personal level, very importantly. That makes sense, I think.
Yeah. I've gone through that as well. I've been in studio with very prominent artists, and they start to tell you how to sound. No, I want you to sound like this. No, I want you to do it like this.
It's like on their
but this
song?
is whether it is your song or theirs. So long as you're doing a collabo, you should be able to collaborate, cooperate.
People, coming
Yes,
together,
share ideas, but don't just, what do they call it? Find my ideas irrelevant or
that was
dictate,
dictating
just
like,
because you
I'm
think
gonna
you're
grab the
bigger
ball by
than
the
me.
horn and where I take it is where you go.
Is where
It's
you
the
go.
song.
You must follow because you're not yet where I am. No. Who says I'm not yet where? What if I'm comfortable where I am? Then when I was starting out, we were a group, 3 people. All had the same vision,
Oh,
same
your group
goals.
called. I love group names.
I'm not going to go there. That is
you have
that
to tell us.
That is that I will never go back
I
to.
love group names. Group
We are
names
all
some of the
still
best
friends,
things.
by the way. It's just that they were always late. I'd come from Ginger, make an appointment with them. We agreed to meet at 10 a.m. These dudes will show up at 2. And yet they're staying in Kampala.
Okay.
I got
We shall get to the
pissed.
bottom of this.
I got
Were
fed
you the
up.
only woman in the group?
There were
Yes,
3 and these are dudes. The
2
other 2 were
guys.
dudes.
I was the only girl. We
You
said
live in Ginger,
yes,
not here,
and come
so
on time. And you who stays in Kampala, you come late. They invite us for gigs, shows. You don't show. You give me an excuse of your girlfriend tracking you, or you're going through some financial crisis. And like, how is this important for the group? It's not. So this is how we split. I decided, you know
Yeah.
what? You
There's that
guys.
selflessness that has to
how
come with
did you
groups. I think.
how did you break up with them? How did you give it to them? Like how was
I
it?
just kept quiet and started recording my music alone.
You froze out the whole group. So this is like Beyonce just going silent on the Destiny's
No,
Child.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
that's not
anything.
even it. This is Black Eyed Peas and Faggy.
It made sense.
Yeah,
That's
like,
it.
Like best
Will I Am and the homies just said, you
best
know what?
reference.
We don't know what she's up to, but we're going to record our shit. Faggy's like, I don't really vibe with them so much
Anymore?
most of the time,
Yeah.
so I'm working on an album right now. And before you know it, okay, so Black Eyed Peas is Black Eyed Peas still, but without Faggy. And now Faggy is Faggy without Black Eyed
Black
Peas.
Eyed Peas without the Fuggy.
Yeah, but
You know?
if you've not put anything down on paper, you're not doing anything wrong. I didn't sign no contract, so I had the right to keep quiet.
Did
Yeah,
you
I
ever?
think
How
you
was
are
the?
right.
How was the awkwardness when you met again? After that, like after
Well-
a while, because I know you took some time off after that shit. But then when you met again, how was it?
It was actually nice. They called me. They came over to my place in Ginger. I cooked. We went out. We partied so hard. And then they're like, "Yo, play for us some of your music, man." Blah, 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 blah. Then they're like, "Man, we need to focus. We need to focus." I don't know what is wrong with that. I said, "You're still in that
We
position."
need your leadership.
Till now, they ask me,
After
"Yo,
you
how
played
do we
them
do
your songs,
this?"
they're like, you're the leader. You're
Yeah.
the leader.
We need
They called
you.
me,
We
"Yeah,
need
could you set me up a recording session with Wana or with whatever producer I'm working with?" I'm like, "You guys need to sort yourself." Till now, they have not yet sorted their shit. Now imagine I was still with them. I'd be nowhere. So yeah, sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
That's also like a very like hard thing, but also a great mature decision to make for your life as an artist and as an adult. Because you wake up 10 years and you guys are getting late to the show and stuff. And you'll be like, I stuck it out for the friendship. You're the buddies and everything. But then you're all broke.
You put out a very important point. So a lot of the decisions so many artists will make is just how do you actually make a living from this thing? You know? In so many ways, lots of people will start. I once had this guy who came up to me and said, "You know what? I want to do this thing, this music thing." And I said, "Yes."
I love how they say.
Yeah, I want to do this.
do it.
Yeah, I want to.
Give it a try.
And I asked him an honest question. I was like, why do you want to do it? So that's an interesting question, right? It should bring out something interesting.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm bored."
He was
And I
honest.
said, "My guy, if you were broke, I would have understood, but you're bored. If something else comes in your life and you don't feel bored anymore, what's going to keep you motivated?" I don't like it's. This is not a hobby for me. For me, I make music. I make music for a living, you know, and my skill as a sound engineer also, I use that to earn a living. But I'm not going to give you my time, professional advice, and skill set and knowledge
Just because your ass is
just
bored.
because you're bored, bruh. That's not enough. Now,
Count some knowledge in me.
there are
Respect
so
me.
many things. So many things that frustrate us as artists. For me, one of them is the fact that you can't really put. It's not like school, you know, where you say, I've done my 3 years, my 4 years, I have my paper, and anybody out there is going to be able to listen to me and say, you're qualified enough. This one's different, you know. This one,
That shit
1 year,
doesn't
6
matter.
months, 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
People are still at it.
Yeah.
But like, what do you guys feel are like in your lives? What are the things that have spurred you on, and when you look back and say, within this period of time, I achieved this. Be it you had planned it or it was something that you had set out as a goal, but you achieved it, you know? And whether you are still counting that art form as a major source of income in your life, or you are still looking at it as, I have goals to achieve and I'm achieving them and I know I'm getting myself in the right places. What are those things that you look back at and say, these are the things that made me know that I'm in the right, I'm pulling off the right moves?
Good question. Well, for me, it's getting my fish business up and running. Yeah, as I told you guys before, I was in a relationship. This guy was Asian. He didn't want me to work. He wanted to just put dime on the table and tell me, girl, sit home and look good for me. When he left, oh boy, my eyes opened like this.
Did he leave you like high and dry? With nothing?
No, he actually left me with money that I invested. He left me with
You
money.
won.
He told me he was coming back and then he just didn't come back. Till now, I don't know. And I don't care. All I know is it made me stronger and it made me who I am today. I depend on me for everything I need. I don't go to nobody. I can at least support my family, take care, invest in my music. From 2018 is when I started to take my music very seriously. 2019, implementing strategies that would work. 220, everything is running
Like
up
a
and
plan.
running
You have
on
like
its
a
own.
plan of
Yes,
when
I've
you-
even projected
the
how the
roadmap
money
out
will,
here.
how the money that I have invested will come back. I believe every money I take out of my account should come back, at least, you know. So yeah.
She's definitely taking that business acumen very seriously in
Yeah.
her life. But like, again, so you just learning to take things as this is a business.
Yeah.
And in every business, there's input and output.
Yeah.
There's investment, there's returns. You know, there's growth, very measurable growth.
Yeah.
And you have seen that.
Yes.
So like the decision to go pro is what made you like, and also the necessities you need to be a pro, to be a professional,
Yes.
and be that great artist,
Yes.
and inspired all the other moves you made.
Yes. Because in the music industry, I realized I needed money to get to where I wanted to go. So that's how the business came in handy. I needed to give my talent chance to grow. Now I'm even thinking in the direction of getting my papers so I can teach, because music is a passion for me. In the beginning, it wasn't about the money. Many times I went and performed for free, went and just, jumped
Yeah,
on
it was
stage
about
and had
learning the
fun,
ropes here and there.
learning and
I
stuff
did
like
a couple
that.
of shows with
you
her
know?
where we learned some really interesting things that, you know what, if we had put ourselves in a position of we're going to make demands,
Pay
we
me
would have-
first before I ask.
you know, we would have one, we were
Yeah.
not in a position to leverage for
Yeah.
that payment,
Yeah.
to be honest. But secondly, we put ourselves in a position where we just said, you know what, let's go in cautiously, but we want to learn, you know? And you reach out there and you're like, wow, there's so many rowdy and disorderly wolves out here. Everybody wants to eat but do not know where to bite.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Everybody's hungry but don't know which table to sit at. That's the thing, is that they haven't looked at it as it's a business. For every business, there's an investment.
Yeah.
There's a return. There's an input, there's an output. Nobody's looking at it like that. Lots of people out there who are just riding on that, general happiness.
Yeah, I can make a song, I can do some things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
there's time for
but
that.
as-
But that time has to be very intentional.
Yeah.
For me, here's the thing. I'll give you a little backstory about how I even get into this whole. I've been writing since I was like around 9 years old. So the first thing I ever like what I recognize as the first piece of writing was, I don't know whether I used to buy that Sunday Vision back in the day where they had footballers' profiles behind, or sometimes they would have like an artist and lyrics behind.
Yeah.
So they would have like a profile behind, and I would always buy the paper, wait for
And get the
everybody to
tear.
read, tear it out, get my Colgate or Close Up. Stick it. I don't know why I used to think I'm the only one
Those are
using
nostalgic
Close Up and
feels, bro.
Colgate. I went to my friend's house. He had a bunch of players with Colgate,
Colgate
porridge.
dries so well.
Colgate or porridge? No,
Yeah.
porridge is better than Colgate. Porridge is now
Porridge is
permanent.
like
Stick. Yeah, that one is forever. But Colgate, you can figure. Colgate, you can figure out a way of scooping that shit
No,
up.
but Colgate also, wow.
Here's the
We're into
thing.
Colgate and
Here's the
porridge
thing.
now.
Colgate has like a nice rubbery like feel where like if you place it here, you feel like you can easily
It's
remove
like that
it.
sticky rubber.
Uh-huh.
When it
Like you
dries.
can go off.
And
But porridge, Bushera,
is like
to be
glue.
specific,
Like
when I
office
use Bushera, because I remember in P2 in Mango, we had a teacher who called us over for the weekend to decorate the class. And what were we using? We're using porridge. We were using maize flour. So we made that porridge from the maize. Then we got a bunch of newspapers. On Monday when the kids came, the whole class was lit. But that shit stayed for like the whole time I was in that school. Okay, I don't know why they were not tempted to tear them. I am still curious.
I guess they love them also.
Being kids, I would greatly expect that. So anyway, like the Sunday Vision like back profile thing, inspired me to write a profile on a non-existent footballer who doesn't exist. So I sit down and write like the guy's bio. I give him kids. I give him teams. I give him a life. I give him all that stuff. And that was the beginning. But then it didn't take off like you go consistently and keep doing it, because I was always living around people who thought...
Was it because you questioned if all these footballers were real?
No.
Or you just thought...
No, it was more of me being told you're wasting time. That is some bullshit you own. You should be reading now. You should be revising. You should be like...
Yeah.
And I think that also made me kind of hate school a bit.
Yeah.
But then I still slacked off on this other thing. But then the thing I can really appreciate is I've always like found a way to at least write something small at least every day, every once in a while. So because of that spirit, I never like dropped everything. Now recently I go like read this book. It's like a diary of sorts where you write your shit, but it wasn't really a diary. I was writing a bunch of things in there. And I realized there was like, you know how you see your goals, like a list of things you want to do. So you see, make a film, make a song, buy real estate, buy stuff and all that.
Ship.
And you're like, definitely. I wish that was on, because I want to do that now. So I look at all that and I'm like, subconsciously, it's always been there. And I realized me being told not to do it is what spurred me to do it, because of me just wanting to rebel against that. So like a lot of times that has always been the thing to push me. That has always been, and also maybe the thing of being an underdog in very many situations. I've always come into situations where I won't say dumbest, I'm either the greenest, everybody around is better. So exactly, you're the rookie, so you have to prove yourself.
Yeah.
And that's great. It's the best thing to happen to you, because you won't be complacent and all that. And another great thing I can say is really like an inspiring factor is just wanting to be great, like wanting to be better than yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who hates every line I write. The minute it comes out, I'm like, this is trash. That's it. The minute it comes out, it becomes trash. And I'll always be chasing a great line, always. So I think that's the thing that keeps me going. You're always chasing that great line.
Yeah.
And when you stop getting the hunger to make the line better, I think that's when it dies and it stops meaning anything to you.
Yeah, self-drive. Man, making music with so many different people in so many different ways has been an interesting work for me. Starting out as someone who just wanted to make beats on Fruity Loops, right? Going through school and really not realizing what school was supposed to, give me. This is now university. And I'm already like trying to see, okay, what do I need to do to like, do this music thing seriously? I was lucky to find myself to get accepted as an apprentice at a reputable studio at the time. And this studio basically, for anyone who wanted to learn more of the technical side of things, that was one of the best places to be at. Recording bands, mixing and mastering.
Which studio is this, man?
C19 at the time. C19 Studios. Now it's C19 Records. They've moved on to a record label, which is a good move. But for me, just to learn, one of the first things I learned, even before how well you can make music, was how well do you deal with another person in the same room with you in a creative space.
Really friendships.
Yes. Yeah. That was very important, social skills, networking.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that was put in my head. Told me, you're not going to touch anything for a while. And that while ended up being 5 months.
The bench.
Yeah. I was
on the
a fly
bench.
on the couch watching every day.
Yeah.
And
they always sat on you.
Yes. Well, actually, I was protected because he needed me to learn. One, never get starstruck, no matter who is in the room with you. That affects how well you work. That affects how well they respect you. Secondly, be upfront. If, as a producer, you are not the artist in the room, you are another arm for the artist to channel what they would really want to relay. You know?
Basically, you carry powder to their meal.
Exactly. And you make sure you are the best curry powder you can be.
Yeah.
Because if you're a shitty curry powder, so many people will eat that music and the first thing they'll say is, that spice is shit. You know? That spice is shit.
What is this?
Terrible.
You know, meat will always be meat, but what makes a great meat stew is going to be the spices. If you are that shitty spice, man, you have failed. So I had to learn to be a really good spice, you know, and also accept that in this creative process as a musician, learn your role, your responsibility with any project. Your responsibility in there is very important because if you step on toes, if you fail to understand where you need to be, you're not helping anyone. You know, deliver on time, deliver on budget, and make sure it's competitive. Those three things. Once I started learning to do those things, and so many projects, I will struggle with that. You know, budgets are not enough. They're not giving you enough time. They're really capping your creativity. So many things like that. But along the road, technical things, networking skills, and just life skills in a creative room helped spur me on to like just trying to figure myself out so much.
I've been like dying to ask you this thing because I thought about it yesterday, and I feel like in a way it's a great thing to have. Like I was thinking about a friend of mine who's a DJ who is also producing and doing other dope shit, and I was thinking, how does that skill help you in making music? Like I feel like it's an added advantage because first of all, you're curating something you're already aware of. You know the mood. You're played before a crowd. You know how to work a crowd. Like, how does that help you? Like, when you're like now creating stuff, does it have any input? Like when you're putting down shit?
It's very, it's not essential, but it's an added advantage.
Yeah.
In that, one, you're not making music for yourself. You're making music for a crowd. This crowd, you don't know who's going to accept your music. But you also want to make sure that the way they react to the music is genuine. You want the music to connect to their emotions. You want the music to drive their emotions. So like being out there and playing different songs for different crowds helps you understand, okay, I mixed a bunch of songs in this way, in this order. I saw the reaction. So much that you will see how much people drink when you're playing a certain style of music. How much people just are happy with each other when you're playing a certain style of music. How much people are reserved and just sit back and still drink and stay away from everyone else when you're playing another kind of music. To start to understand and appreciate those things helped me also appreciate how music affects people. How certain chords, certain instruments, certain sonics, how music pulls certain strings in emotions, really. And even me, truth is when I'm directing an artist or if an artist does, seek my guidance on certain things. And I feel like if you sing this note this way, it helps us create a smooth transition without the listener feeling like, man, it was like there's something coming up after this, but now it doesn't, With playing live music, it's so much about the ups and downs, dynamics of how you carry the listener. And in creating music, if you do that, if you make the music with those dynamics in mind, with now we're up, now we're down, now we're up, now we're down, now we're riding, now we're singing along, now we're dubbing, like when you make music with that in mind, it helps a lot. I imagine even LB, when she's writing, she knows that, okay, I would like this first verse to be fire. Because they're like, whoa, this is our moment, And I'm going to give you a moment to sing along. Then I'm going to give you a moment to just dance. Then I'm, just to sort of understand things like that. Because music and emotions is a very important thing. And if you put yourself in a position where you can understand that to whatever degree, but just to understand that and try to bring that out really in how you make music.
Incorporating it.
Yeah, that helps. So being as a DJ who has played music out in situations where I've been booed off stage, in situations where I have been asked to even play longer.
Man, I'm so looking for one of those stories. Like, I would just want to know how it happened, how it went down, how you were kicked off.
I told you one
Yeah.
where I was playing the wrong BPM and the sound guy just said,
Yeah.
and he plugged his on phone
What's
and said, I have a mix that works with this crowd. You know, I was playing at a massive. It's an outdoor space where guys just hang out. This is 10 a.m. and I told him, man, my colleague got so angry and wanted to fight. I told him, bro, chill, man. This is not our space, you know. And his explanation was, man, it's too late. You need to be playing, you know, at that BPM when they need to feel like.
Yeah.
Basically,
wait, just to be sure, 10 a.m.
Sorry, 10 p.m.
I
10
thought
p.m.
this was Nyege. Now, when you say that, I was thinking of Nyege because Nyege at that time, guys are on stage and guys are playing stuff.
But 10 a.m. is still too early for Nyega. At that time, that's like a reset button.
There's some humans just crawling around.
Yeah.
Humans.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone on for like an hour now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
talked
we have
so
to wrap
much
it up
shit.
already.
I even forgot where we were, but I know we've like touched a couple of things.
Yeah,
and,
we have.
Yeah, and I love just knowing you're a fisher of men.
Yes, that
Fisher of
is.
fish and a fisher of men. Damn.
I do different businesses.
That whole line growing up. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men.
It's a Bible scripture.
A Bible scripture that can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
I look at it as attracting success. That is how I look at being fishers of men. Yeah.
In context
Dope,
in the
man.
Bible, I think it was